2021. I am YaYa Marin Coleman, known as Sister YaYa, and this is episode 2, season 1 of Belizean Workers Rights. We are currently on Zoom, and Sister, who's our technical person, Sister Trisha, will ensure that she shares the link on Facebook, and she will also share this Zoom on YouTube. Our brother Dean Flowers will be joining us shortly. He's running a little late, and so we have to make much of the time that we have. I see our brother Philip is here from last week. Good night, brother Philip. Okay,
Good night, Sister YaYa. How are you this evening?
I'm well. Give thanks for being with us this evening. I want to go over a few of the... Thanks, brother. Brother Bernard is here with us. Brother Bernard Ramos is one of the 36 former employees of Port of Belize Limited who was unfairly terminated on the 22nd of July, if I'm not mistaken, 2020. Also a member of the Christan Workers Union. He's our guest this evening, the first guest. Good night, Brother Bernard.
Good night, Sister YaYa. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Brother Philip, I'm seeing or heard from you a long time.
Mother.
You know, it's a pleasure, my brother. It's a pleasure.
Certainly. Good to see you. It's good to see you. Looking well.
Likewise. Thanks, Brother Philip.
And I see my other brother Luke in the background as well.
Yes. He's my technical advisor.
Oh, certainly. You need those nowadays.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sister YaYa, we're already on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, good. We're already on YouTube. Give that. Thanks for that update, brother. Let me quickly go over some of the guidelines.
Okay.
Whenever, and I would prefer us to all keep our camera on because I like to see our faces on the screen. So we ask, because sometimes it causes us not to have the best reception, so we could keep our cameras on unless we're having bad reception. Then we may ask people to turn their cameras off, and then you only turn your cameras on when you're speaking, and then when you're not speaking, to please ensure that you mute your mics because we don't want any background songs to bleed into the recording. Okay. Then other guidelines that we have is, and I'm getting this information, I'm using from Global Decolonization Initiative Facebook page, I'm using some of their guidelines, which I really liked. It says, thank you all for showing up. As far as how we participate, keep it educational and supportive. We have people here in different stages of growth and in the spirit of collective liberation. It's important to remember attacking is a system of oppression in and of itself. So please be mindful when that comes up. The group is open for debate and healthy banter. Please keep it respectful and educational. And finally, please enjoy this time and space with us. Do your best to come from a place of education rather than convincing. And let's commence to being the change we want to see as Belizean workers. The mic is now yours, Brother Ramos. If you could just give us a brief background. Oh, a sister has joined us, Cynthia Pitts, Elder Unionist. Good night, Sister Cynthia Masale.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. Brother Bernard, can you give us some background on what happened at the Port of Belize Limited with the employees, and in particular the employees who are members of the Christan Workers Union? Why was there a labor dispute with the management of Port of Belize Limited?
Okay, good evening again, Sister YaYa, and other invited guests. I worked at PBL, which is Port of Belize Limited, for 4 years, since 2016. We formed the union along with Brother Mo's Christan Workers Union. We built from 8 members to a total of was like 46 of us. And as we went from there, we start meeting every day. Almost every week we meet, and we got stronger and stronger. And then in think it was in June of last year, sometime May or June of last year, we got an information saying that there should be a termination. So everybody start wondering, right, who is going? And when CW got a letter with a list of people who was intended to be terminated on the 22nd of July 2020, and then we start rallying every day, right, and challenging the PBL because their letter was saying due to the COVID-19, they have to do redundancy. You know, they have to cut down in staff. So went and then Brother Mose brought up, I don't remember the clause, there was a clause which proved that the point is that there were in no circumstances to terminate us. I didn't know I was in there, right? But the 32. So continue rallying, and then they also said they were going to cut us 10%, 10% along with the termination. And we start rallying every day. We meet right in front of the the PBL parking lot here, and rally, and it was a back and forth. At that time, I must say, folks, that in the forefront, it was us and Stevedores. So because CW would represent both of us, right? So we were more in the background until when our termination came up on the 22nd, right? That was a day when we went in front and Stevedores went in the back, right? And we were warned, we were issued with letter of termination where they wanted us to go in for 8 o'clock that morning, and we were advised not to go in. So nobody went in, the 36 of us. We didn't go in and receive no termination letter because we believe that the point is that there was no grounds for them to terminate us. And the sequence continued. We were out there rallying. And then about 11, well, after 10, they start calling people and start issuing the letters of termination. And I don't know if you want me to continue to go through all the sequence, what happened that day.
Brother Bernard, what did you do as an employee at the Port of Belize Limited?
I was a security officer and the union rep for the security department. And we had what I had out of 46, it was a strength of 46. I had gotten 39 of us to join the CW union, right? So we were basically the strongest department from PBL, and I keep on representing. And then I had a sister, Sister Kiki. Sister Kiki, she assisted me, right? So that when time permits, if I can't make it, she would represent us. So it was me and Kiki, who was for the security department. You know.
Tell us a little bit about how you became a union member and what was your experience encouraging other employees to be union members?
Okay, what happened when Mr. Mose, they brought it to us, and along with our chief rep, Mr. Wayne Lambie, they came and they said upon it that they wanted representation from each department. And from the security department, my members, well, the security department said, Mr. Ramos, would you represent us? Would you be our rep? And I was nominated we had a meeting and I was nominated as the rep for the security department. And from then I keep on going on, keep on going, as their rep, right? Just back and forth, attending meetings, bringing forward to the security department members. And like I said, we were the most. We were like 39 strong in there, out of the whole port. But my experience was great. I love to present people, my peers, my co-workers, right? I did my best, my utmost best to represent them to the best of my ability, right? And they can, if they can speak to them, like I'm sure they can say that, they were well informed. When I come from meetings with the president, with CW, I would go, we couldn't meet in groups, so I would stay shift by shift. Stay over with the morning shift, stay over the evening shift. I even go in the nighttime and meet. So my security officers was well informed about the happenings at PBL.
Brother Dean has joined us. Brother Dean, another see you. Okay, when Brother Dean come back, he could go ahead and greet us. Yes, as a Belizean worker, can you tell us, because at the time in hindsight, I don't know how many Belizean workers were really hearing that 10% cut for those employees, and the union's position on behalf of the workers was, it's not that we're not willing for the employees to get the 10% cut during COVID-19 pandemic. We're asking to see the financial statements of Port of Belize Limited to ensure that they are indeed in the type of financial situation that they've described. And here we are, not even a year later, and then we have members of the public service who are facing a similar challenge. And so I wanted you to share, Breda Ramos, what was the response, the vibration of workers when they understood what that 10% cut would mean to them?
Okay, Sister YaYa, what happened, the point is that when Port said that they were going to deduct 10% of our salary, we called a meeting, and right there at the port office there, they allowed us to use the recreation center, and we met and put it, and it was unanimously voted, not that we didn't want to take it, like you said, but we were requesting that they show us their books, to show us the paperwork and everything, what lead them to make that decision to give to cut our 10%, right? Back and forth. Port of Belize said that they're in no they don't have to show us their paperwork. So we start rallying the next day, and we continue, and then they still we keep requesting at our rallies every day. We would be hollering, no 10% cut, no retrenchment and so forth. And I'm sure they were hearing us, but they wasn't responding to us. And as we keep on going, we decided that we were going to do a work of rule. I think it's called work of rule, where you go in, you work, according to how you're supposed to work, but at a slow pace, right? That worked for 1 week. We did that. We still get no response from them. They said they ain't gonna show us no paperwork, right? They made their decision to cut us 10%, And then the members just start rallying every day, hoping that we wasn't gonna get the 10%. Right? But before the 10% was cut, we got terminated due to redundancy, as they speak. But that redundancy, they said it was redundancy, but as I've said before, how could it have been redundancy when we were terminated on the 22nd of July 2020, and by the 23rd evening, they hired private security to fill our 18 security officers position who was unlawfully terminated, right? So then the point is, we keep on rolling, and it went, as I remember, it went to court for some. There was an injunction. They tried to pass an injunction. We lost that. We lost that injunction, and so we were already terminated. You get your severance and everything, and we just keep on rallying until the COVID came. When the COVID came, I think that affected us big time, because then we all went into hibernation. We gave up. I thought we gave up too quick. That's my opinion. So.
Brother Dean is here. Good night, Brother Dean.
Good night, Sista YaYa. Thanks for having me, and good night, Brother Ramos, and good night to our
Good night, Mr. Dean.
to all of the guests that have joined us. Was in Belize City today, YaYa, and just got in. So please, I've been listening since 5 minutes in, so I haven't missed much, I trust, and I certainly look forward to engaging tonight with Brother Ramos and those other guests that have joined us. And so I don't want to take away from the interesting and very touching comments from Brother Ramos in terms of what he has experienced, and the only thing that the kind of thoughts that has been going through my mind when I'm listening to his experience, is I was driving down just now to Belmopan, and I was listening to the news, and I heard the comments from the leader of the opposition in relation to the current struggle that the joint union is going through, and I said how it has me shaking my head, because I had to think about the labor law amendment bill that was passed last year during COVID, which made it easier for employers to take advantage of employees, and so it begs the question in terms of when will we stop doing things for political reasons and start doing things that are right and just and in the best interest of workers and in citizens as a whole, because last year this bill was passed, which gives employers the right to continue engaging in these kind of unilateral, even though the bill, of course, says that, there'll be consultation, but like Brother Ramos rightly said, they had every right to query the financial position of their employer, because they had already engaged in a contract of employment for a certain compensation. And you cannot, and that is exactly what we're saying here as the joint union, you cannot just come and arbitrarily take away what is legally mine without us engaging in meaningful dialogue. But I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy of and then that's my personal opinion of the leader of the opposition on the news tonight, whereby he's saying we stand with the union. We don't believe that that is what they should be going through. But just a couple months ago, you passed a law that empowered employers to do just that. So I'll leave it at that for now, YaYa.
Brother Dean. Right now, the time is 7:19. We're making good time. Brother Bernard, can you share with us some of the suffering and hardship that the other 35 former employees of the Port of Belize Limited who were unfairly terminated on July 22nd, 2020, what they and their families and their communities have been experiencing? Many of them have been out of work. I know some of you found work. What has that experience been like?
Yes, that was one of the biggest blow that anybody could have gotten, right? Myself and the other 35 members of PBL who was unlawfully terminated, gathering from, I think it's like about say 75% or person. It took us like at least 4 months 4 to 5 months, most of us, to find other employment because all employees were saying, COVID-19, we ain't hiring, COVID-19, right? From the security department. And let me see it. I think speaking just about the security officers, I am not sure how many of them went back into security because security companies was not. They said they were, or they, you know, their job was retrenching, right? So they weren't hiring. So it took my personal experience. It took it took me until January to get a permanent employment. Right? I have other potentials, other skills, right? I'm a good painter. You know, I did a lot of painting. I did plumbing. I did roofing. I did everything just to survive, just to have a roof over my head, you know, and a family, you know. So and what I gathered from my other PBL 36 family, they all went through the same. They all went through the same. But the thing about it, yeah, is that um, under the previous government, we lodged a complaint, right? Unlawful termination, you know, complaint to the CW, and they said that they were going to put it to what we call they reenacted I think it's a labor complaint board, right? And they selected chairperson and treasurer, whatever and the information all we gathered from that was that they were meeting virtually due to the COVID-19, right? But we wasn't getting no feedback from them. We keep checking, you know, and I'm sure that the CW, Mr. Moores and the other members was checking Brother Floyd, you know, Sister what's the secretary name? You know, they know what I'm talking about. They were checking, but
Tasha.
yeah, Tasha. But we wasn't getting back. They wasn't getting back information, so we wasn't get. We as the sufferers wasn't getting back our information either. So the point is that we got frustrated. To be honest, we got frustrated. Most of them, most of us believe the point is, you know, that it's never going to happen. Then the government changed. When the government changed, they had a dispute. We got to understand they had a dispute. So the point is, they changed they changed another labor complaint board. They had a new chairman. Uh,
So it
they,
was supposed to be a tribunal, and
tribunal, yeah, tribunal.
person of the tribunal, because that chairperson was, to my understanding, advisor to the Christian Workers Union.
Yes, 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 yes. You know, I don't want to call him, but you know, he knows who he is. Yeah, he was the advisor legally to CW, representing us, the 36 PBL members, right? And what we get to understand is the point is he's now the chairperson at the tribunal board. You know, so legally, what I understand from that is that he has to excuse himself, right? And what I've gathered so far is that they said that they're supposed to meet before the end of the month. The end of the month is Monday, right? So let's hope. But we hope, and but we were advised by the president is that it's a long haul, folks. It's a long haul because everybody knows who we're fighting against. We're fighting against the giant.
Respect. Before we close out this segment, it's very important to note that on I believe it was July 22nd, when a unit of the police department fired rubber bullets and used tear gas on Belizeans who had every right to be protesting at the port of Belize Limited, that must be recorded. So can you just speak on that, and then share your final thoughts, please, Bernard? It's currently let me put my glasses on. It's 7:24, so we have another 6 minutes.
Okay, quickly on that day, the 22nd of July, 2020, we were rallying and we moved from outside outside the parking lot or the waiting area, and we went inside the compound. And at that time, the injunction was going on. The injunction was in court. So we were in there waiting for the result of the injunction, peacefully sitting on the ground, right? Then we start noticing GSU members, police officers coming in, vehicles after vehicle. I think it was like four vehicles, riot equipments and everything. They came well equipped. So we sat there, along with the Mr. President. He was in front, right? We all sat down, and then we got a directive from Mr. Williams that so long as the Commissioner of Police, so long as we are not giving any trouble, causing any problem, we are allowed to stay there peacefully. And all of a sudden we saw when the JSU start formation into a riot drill, right? Into the riot drills. And then command start given by the commander on the ground for them, right? And then tear gas was fired. Well, we ran out, and when we ran out, rubber bullets start firing. A lot of members, because it was PBL members and stevedores. But I think it was like 7 people got injured by rubber bullets fired by the GSU. And nothing came out of that. Nothing came out of that. Nothing. We filed those who was injured was advised to go to the police station and make a report. I don't know who all went, but the point is that was a dead nail. Dead nail. Nothing came out of that. So with that, the point is that but my thing is that I went into it, and I have always said the point is that representation is key, because what I've learned is that a lot of public service people, laborers, don't know their laws. They don't know their rights. So, and if you don't know your right, then the point is we are always going to be advantaged by the employer, always. So that's my take with it.
You have another question you want to ask, Brother Dean? You want to ask Brother Ramos? We have another 3 minutes before we open up the space to the other Belizeans.
Just a comment. I hear the brother's pain where he said that they didn't or have not been able to make much progress where the labor complaints tribunal is concerned. And unfortunately, it's not only those 36 members, but also that involves hundreds of workers from the public sector or from the public service that were also recently terminated without cause. And a lot of those members have also taken legal recourse, or taken legal representation, and are waiting for that tribunal. I am pleased also to report, however, that the tribunal has started meeting, and as we speak, I think their next meeting they will be adopting a new labor complaints tribunal set of procedure rules in terms of how these hearings are supposed to unfold. So their work has commenced. I believe that is the latest report we received from our good sister Ella Waite from the Christan Workers Union, since she's our representative on the complaints tribunal. So, Brother Ramos, you're right, brother. The chairman, I think it's Brother Sylvester, will have to recuse himself, and but I'm hoping that your cases will be heard within the next month or two as the work of the tribunal has commenced.
Excellent. I was putting a question or two in the comment section so that we can remain engaged and ask questions. It's currently 7:29. Breda Bernard Ramos, you did an outstanding job representing your former colleagues, and they've become your family as you've identified them as your family. I know there has been a WhatsApp chat group. I know that you all have been very supportive of each other, stayed in contact, encouraged each other. The union has been very much a part of the process to share information. I know during the Christmas break, you all got some school bags for some of the children of the people who were terminated. So I know it's a difficult process. And so you all can speak from experience for these groups of people who are currently about to go through a similar experience. So it's 7:30 and Sister Tricia will go ahead and open up the space so other Belizeans may engage, ask questions, or share whatever your thoughts may be. I tell her no because we don't got nothing for say. Cause we always got things for say, but with a lot of space. I know if anyone knows. Can you share? Can someone share some more? Brother Philip, you had mentioned work to rule. What work to rule is, and also if someone can share with us what is the Labor Complaints Tribunal, please. You have to unmute your mic, Brother Ramos.
Okay, hello?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, yeah, what I gotta understand by working to work the rule is the point is that you go into work and you follow your procedures. If you're supposed to do whatever you're supposed to do, you go according to your procedures that your job gives you to do. But what we do is the point is that you do it at a slow pace, at a slow pace, right? So it's supposed to be, it's supposed to give you an effect, a negative effect against what you're doing, what you're striving for, you know. And at port, when we did that, the point is it had a little effect because then, especially from a security standpoint, that we were responsible to let in the tow trucks, the tow heads, right? To let in customers who needs to go to the warehouse to pick up their goods, right? And I must say that we did a good job on that, right? One spell you saw tow heads backed up way out at the front gate, which it took a little effect, right? And every day we did that for a week, for a little period of time. That's what I understand from work the rule.
Well, I know we have Sister Cynthia, we have Brother Dean, we have Brother Philip. Go ahead and share with us if you can add anything to the work to rule, and also to share with us what the Labor Complaints Tribunal is.
I think the only thing that I can add to the work to rule, YaYa, is that you pretty much reference your terms of reference, your job description, and that will tell you exactly what are the minimum requirements and the rules as well in terms of safety equipment or safety gears. Most of the time we enter the workplace and we come in at perhaps in some cases people would come in even before the required time for work. If they, of course, if it's an 8 to 5, they would come in perhaps at 7:30. In some cases, in most instances, of course, people would come in at the exact point of time, no? But work to rule, you come in 8, you take a 15-minute break the morning, you quit at 12, you take your 15, you start, recommence at 1, take a 15-minute break in the afternoon, and you leave at 5 on the dot. And where safety equipment and procedures is concerned, If you don't have those in place, then boss, I can't do my work because my terms of reference said that I need one hard hat, I need one steel toe boots, I need a harness if I'm going to climb this thing, I need one leather if I need to do this. So we are work to rule. What does the rule say? And the whole idea of that, of course, is to cause a decrease in productivity, you know. And of course, we definitely refuse to work overtime because we're working to rule. No, so that would be my comments on that. Um, as I stated, with and quickly on where the tribunal is concerned, as I stated, a new set of procedures is expected to be adopted. And if I look at the introduction of the draft procedures that were shared with us, and if anybody would like to take a look at that, I would be prepared to share them because of course it is still in its draft form, and I expect that they will come into enforce next month because we think Sister Ella gave us up until the ending of this week to provide input. So if there's anybody in here that like to see the draft, I can share that. But pretty much within the preamble section, it says the tribunal establishes these practices and procedures for purposes of providing a fair and impartial process arising from complaints of wrongful termination and unfair dismissal. It is the aim of the tribunal that the hearing of complaints shall take place within 45 to 60 days from receipt of complaints. So just reading that, of course, Brother Ramos would agree that their rights has already been violated in terms of the time frame. But like I said, this is a new set of procedural rules that is expected to be adopted next month. But pretty much it is established to address wrongful terminations, or whenever you feel that you were wrongfully terminated, you can always go to that tribunal who can set aside that dismissal. I haven't gone through the entire document, so I don't know if they will be empowered to order compensation or simply order reinstatement if it is that you were wrongfully terminated.
Respect. Thanks for the collective participation. Sister Musale Cynthia, if you remember, if the Labor Complaints Tribunal was around during the time that you were active in the union?
I really don't remember. I don't remember. But what I would like to comment on is that I don't know, and maybe Brother Dean can inform me, but I think that there is no law which prevents an employer from terminating an employee if it is done according to the law, meaning that an employer can get up out of his bed one morning and decide, I don't want Mr. X to be employed. And if he does it according to law, he gives the appropriate notice and makes sure that that person gets his holiday pay, his severance pay, or whatever, then an employer can do that. And I know that from the time we were in the movement years ago, we were always fighting for that law to have a law that makes it that an employer has to have a reason. You have to have a reason. It is just that you can't just, and I know all the administrations fought that, they didn't like, that the unions were asking for that. And Brother Dean can tell me, I think I see him shaking his head in agreement that law is still not in place. And I think that is a law that needs to be there, because it isn't really fair that someone can just terminate a person's employment, for nothing. And you must have a reason. Now a person is working well. If the person is working well, then why are you terminating that person's employment?
Yes, that is a very what you said is true, Sister. And Brother Nelson Young of the CWU as well, I believe that's the union that he is a member of. He recently brought that exact argument to the NTUCB, saying that we are failing workers, and this is under the NTUCB umbrella, because the convention that deals with that is the ILO Convention C158. And this is his pet peeve, that why aren't we forcing the government to pass legislation in accordance with C158 of the ILO Convention, which mandates that you must have a justifiable reason. That worker has to be guilty of some kind of wrongdoing. Because as we speak, a lot of workers are being terminated without just reason and without just cause. And again, we go to these tribunals, and then if you don't have the kind of resources and money to go to the court, you're again taking advantage of. But there is protection for workers under ILO Convention C158, and that is something that I must give Brother Nelson Young kudos to, that he's forcing the NTUCB to ensure that the Labor Advisory Board look at this convention, which I understand Belize has ratified or adopted. I'm not too quite sure of the legal jargons in terms of when you ratify it or when you adopt it. And once you ratify it or when you adopt it, that you're then forced to amend your laws to reflect that. But we have not amended our laws, Mr. Pitts, for us to be able to ensure that people are guaranteed that kind of protection.
I think that in cases like this, I don't know how many people understood this this situation that we have. And when one wants to bring about change, you know, the first thing is to educate your people, you know, to let them know, you know, maybe people have been fussing about it and complaining to their friends, and, you know, families are angry, you know, if a person is just fired. But then I think it is a forum like this that, you know, that more people get to be informed about what's happening. And so, you know, the first step is to let the people know what the situation is. It is unfair, and people will know that it is unfair. You know, I mean, people know when things are fair and unfair. And then the next thing, if the country has signed to the convention, then that should also be known. And it should be explained to persons what signing the convention means. What advantage is it, you know, to sign a convention? Now, I am not sure how the ILO works, but I know that the conventions that are signed that deal with human rights, you have to report, you know, every so much years you have to report. The government has to make a report. And in the case of the other conventions, the civil society organizations can have a shadow report. And usually when the reports are made, the bodies that sit, you know, to hear these reports would make recommendations and would say, well, we think that your government should do so and so and so. And usually they would tell the persons who are there representing the government to go back and make sure that your people know. Let your people know what we are saying, you know, and that is not done. You know, these things are not done. But I think that when people, because we know that in this country, it is people power that will bring change. You can talk and organizations can be there, but it's when the populace, the general persons, know that things are not going in the way they should and raise their voices, then you might get change, or you will get change.
Excuse me, I just wanted to add, at some point in time, we have to strategize a little bit differently. But Ramos made the testimonial of his case where CWU tried to the best of their ability to be able to ensure that not only the complaints tribunal, but also access to the courts itself is important. And we may have to be able to have attorneys on retainer specifically to ensure that we can position ourselves to put, because most public officers at this stage of the game, and Brother Ramos brought up the issue of education, brought up the issue of how it is that you know your laws, know your rights, and your responsibilities, because people seems to be divorced from the fact that it may not affect me, and the union is just plan B, so that when push comes to shove, I could run to them to get some help, rather than make it be plan A to see how best that they can prepare, understand. And Sister Pitts mentioned last week in our conversation where she said that Saturdays and Sundays they didn't have at that time. Now everybody wants Saturday and Sunday if they go drink rum. So they don't got time to focus on learning how to understand the rules and regulations that governs them. Unfortunately, there is also the dynamics, because I'm also told now that I'm part of the fossil group because I am getting older. But I remember vividly at one point in time the history of where the union and the political parties were and where we are now. So I think we might have to really try to re-strategize to be able to prepare for the case like what CW went through with respect to the Port of Belize Limited workers, because now it is at our doorstep. And if we do not prepare, because the redundancy in the case and the case that came up with respect to BWS workers and the issue of redundancy versus being fired for another reason. So I am hoping that people will take time out. Now, it is now 7:46. We only have 8 people in the room, 2 are hosts, and then we have other people who have decided to join, including Brother Ramos and Sister Lightfoot. And my hope is that, and Sister Belize, but these are people who are cognizant and are interested. Where are the rest of our members? Where are the rest of the public service that needs to understand? Brother Dean mentioned the issue of C-158. We've been trying to push C-155 too, which is the OSH bill. So there's a lot of information that we would like to share, but it's so difficult to get people engaged in the process for them to understand the kind of knowledge that they need to be able to not only pass on for them to understand, but also pass on to their colleagues, that they would understand that the premise is if you touch one, you touch all. If one don't know, 60% of the employed population of this country have primary school or less. That's a damning statistic, in the sense that we are not educating our people to understand the rights and responsibilities that they have and they need to fight for. 73% from the last 2010 population census, 73% of our population is under the age of 35. So we have a very young population. So what I'm saying in short, because I will ask others to weigh in, is that we need to be able to play this game at a different level, especially when you start bringing in the courts. Because once you bring in the court, you have to have facts, you have to have evidence, you have to be able to address how it is that we can strategize from the inception of the tribunal all the way to the court system. Because if we don't do these things, we will always be trying to catch up, and then the government of Belize have all the resources and say, well, we don't have to worry. They are over like a breeze. That mentality and issue has to stop. And I think people need to start taking ownership and responsibility of what it is that they could be doing to ensure that we address some of these concerns that are right on our doorstep. Car public service, the redundancy and the retrenchment issues are alive and well. I'll leave it there for now.
Thanks, Brother Tate. Please share in the comment section those statistics that you share. And while I agree with what you said, I'm also mindful that based on the church-state education system that we have, it was designed for us not to be independent thinkers, critical thinkers, to hold ourselves and others accountable. So it took many generations and years for us to be here. The process is continuing, because just like they had study groups when Sister Muslim Cynthia was an active unionist, they may have been breaks, but we're continuing the process. So the people that need to be here are here. The others will come when it's their time to be here. So let's give credit to those who are here and to be very thankful for everyone's presence and contribution. Anybody wants to follow up on or chime in on what Brother Philip said? He said a mouthful.
I would like to say something, YaYa. Wow, that statistics is glaring that we're in problems if the education rate is that poor at this point. For 60% of your population not to know what their rights are, it
Mr.
would
Lightfoot, Mr.
say
Lightfoot,
that.
employed population, not the population. 60% of the employed
I
population,
see. Okay.
not the
So
population.
it's even bigger. It's a greater number potentially, assuming the unemployed are
Yes,
minors and
bigger number because it's the employed population.
Yeah.
wow.
Wow.
So one of the things I would suggest, Philip, and I'm just taking it from just a US perspective. I know they try bring US thing into this YaYa, to tell you now. But working with any big corporations, one of the things that they do, they have regular online trainings that they get their members to sign into. And with all these ability to create apps and stuff, why don't the public service, do you guys even have a database of your membership where you send out regular trainings, brochures, and you guys should be at any function that has a crowd of people handing out information, did you know type information. I'm just thinking that there has to be some sort of recruitment, and in the recruitment process, the education, and it has to be continuous.
We are working on our app and our database because what happens in the public service is that because people keeps getting transferred annually, it is difficult to keep track of who is where. So part of that app and part of the database is to be able to track how people are moving from one district to the other. The other dynamics within the public service now is that a lot of people live in one district but work in another. So we're also trying to link that as well to be able to ensure that we could address it, because it comes up all the time with NEMO, no? You live in one district, but you work in another. So we're working on these things to be able to not only get the data for the analysis and planning for a strategic plan, but it's also to be able to address the issue of how it is that we could help public officers to know where they are and to be able to engage them at where they are as well.
So what about if in the app process, and that's just a suggestion, why don't you do it where people can update their information rather than you chasing them? There is a reminder that's sent out every year asking them, do you still work at the same place? Is their address still the same type? Something that does it automatically. You're dealing with computers now that can do that. That way your database remains updated.
Perfect suggestion. And also what we have also learned too is that we cannot do unionism by WhatsApp. It doesn't work. And we also have to be able to engage people as where they are in terms of their departments, because yes, the liaison officer system had worked in the past, but we have to figure out a way how we could tweak it now to ensure that the engagement at the departmental levels are done in such a way. You don't only come to the union when you have a problem. You come to the union when you have some suggestions, some ideas, like what happened to CW, in order for us to be able to be proactive and hedge for those things not to happen.
Let me just add, Sister YaYa, Sister Aria, that the app, when I toyed with it, and let me see, Sister Trisha, yeah, and perhaps Sister Trisha can also weigh in, or Sister Cordelia. It does provide those features that people could readily update the district or the branch that they have been transferred to. So actually, I think, again, that app should have been functional already. That database should have been up and completed already. It started under, I think, Sister Obermeyer, if I'm not mistaken. And her term came to an end. Brother Henry term is coming to an end, and this app still not get rolled out, and this database still not get finalized. I know that it is 80, I would say probably 80% completed, but I think that that is something that I took note of that has to be priority, because I like the idea, or some of the comments that you said, sorry, about ensuring that we have information at the fingertip in terms of timely and updated information for our membership, and then that could also help us with the dissemination of information. But I love this suggestion that mass functions continuously out there, they hand out information. So again, it goes back to our Greek and all these other mass functions, whereby, yeah, visibility, and continuous education. So thanks very much for that, because then they're the kind of things that we have to get back to and engage in.
I would like to say too that I think that we have to place more importance on structure. You know, if your organization is not structured, then it is difficult, you know, to really function efficiently and grow. And sometimes the structuring takes time. It is, you know, it moves at a slow pace, and as you are finding out, Dean, but you really have to bear in mind that that is necessary, and don't get distracted, you know, and there are so many things that one needs to do with organizations to try to strengthen it, and also to be dealing with the problems that the organization is supposed to be solving. But I think that sometimes you have to really pay more attention and put more time on structuring first, you know, before you can solve anything, you know, if you don't have your structure. In the past, I know that there was a newsletter that the Public Service Union used to put out. I don't know if one is there now, but the Vanguard, you know, it was the name of it was the Vanguard, and at one time it was held in such a high esteem by the public that the public looked forward to getting the Vanguard, reading the Vanguard, because what was in it was coming straight from the horse's mouth. You know, it was the public officers that were really telling you what is going on. Now we are in this age, and the technological age. I don't know if the Vanguard, the format, the newspaper would be the best thing, but there is, and so there is a Vanguard.
Yeah, I was when Belize City separated, or when we told NTUCB that they had to move because we want to renovate the Belize City office on Cot Avenue. These things were there in our box that was about to be discarded, and I got a lot of copies. June/July 2001, and look at the headline: Union negotiating salary increase for public officers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a couple old copies, and when I became the first vice president, I revitalized this. But again, because of the lack of structure that you spoke about, I found myself, along with Sister Trisha and Sister Inaldi, having to write the entire thing.
Yeah. I mean, that should not be. That shouldn't be. You know, and well, I guess that the commitment of your membership will come through the training that they get, because that is where that commitment comes from. When you are trained and you understand more about the union, its history, and what it can do, you know, then you have that passion, and you will find the time to do what is needed to be done, you know. And so that training is important. You have to get that training so that people feel connected and committed.
Time check 7:59. We have another minute, and this has been an absolutely powerful, informative. Thank you, our guest, Dean Bernard Ramos from the Christian Workers Union. You've done awesome representing your PBL, CW, former 36 employees who were unfairly terminated. Thanks so much, Brother Dean, for joining me as the host. For every single person who came tonight and participated, I'm asking before we leave, it's 8 o'clock. If y'all could put your cameras on, if you want to, so we could have a final shot of us all being present. Please,
YaYa, can I just say something?
yes.
I am hoping that us who are present here, that we don't think that because it's only 8 of us, that this is something which is negative. I think that this is good. If it is only a little handful every week, and we meet and we discuss and we speak, and I think that it will make a difference. Ideas can be shared, and so don't worry if it is only, a little handful, we will continue meeting. YaYa.
And Ella taught me, the people who are supposed to be here are here. Let's stay focused on the work we do and bring the best intention and energy to the space. And just whatever will be, will be. So thanks again, everyone, for being with us tonight. Remember, this is being recorded on Facebook, on YouTube. Thanks to Sister Tricia for being the technical person. Next Thursday, join us as we continue our conversation about the history of unionism in Belize. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you. Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Press leave.